Today, we're going to talk about back injuries and prevention. Back injuries are some of the most prevalent and hardest to prevent injuries on the job. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, more than 1 million workers suffer back injuries each year, and back injuries account for one of every five workplace injuries or illnesses. These types of injuries account for a large majority of workers' compensation claims every year. So, back injuries often occur when an individual is lifting up an object, an individual is using proper or improper lifting techniques, such as lifting with the back and not with the legs, lifting an object that's too heavy for the individual, twisting while lifting or carrying objects, and then repetitive lifting during a work task. So, what are some of the ways to prevent back injuries? If possible, we can eliminate some of the lifting. The best way to protect individuals against back injuries is to eliminate as much or as many lifts as possible during the workday. Using equipment such as forklifts, heavy equipment, cranes, dollies is the best way to eliminate handling and lifting objects by hand. Break down large or heavy objects that pose a hazard when lifting into smaller, safer loads when possible. Then engineering controls, set up work areas that are ergonomically friendly to all employees, install mechanical lifting devices and conveyor belts where feasible to limit handling objects, install proper shelving and set up storage areas that keep objects and lifts within an optimal range. Keeping objects within the proper range helps keep employees from making awkward or dangerous lifts that can result in a sprain. Now, for our purposes, that may involve some ingenuity when we're trying to set up things on a job site so that we can prevent, if at all possible, as much lifting in awkward positions as we can. Then administrative controls, if we use the buddy system when lifting any awkward or heavy objects, that is, agree on weight limits for lifting. For example, if we have a policy to try not to lift anything over 100 pounds as a team without first involving a supervisor to see if there's a safer way to complete the lift, that is at least an example of an administrative control. Also, always select employees who are physically capable of making the lift of a task before the work begins. Then personal protective equipment such as back supports or back belts have not really shown to be overly effective in preventing back injuries. These devices often create a false sense of security when completing lifts. Individuals should focus on stretching and using proper lifting techniques over using a back belt to keep them safe. Now, to a certain degree, the harness that you have and are probably wearing most of the time has a bit of support, but you shouldn't be, strictly speaking, relying upon that. So, once again, this is a whole matter of ergonomics and how our back is affected. So, when you start to lift, remember proper lifting technique, get help if you need help. Try to set things in such a way that you don't have to handle them in an awkward fashion. And by all means, if at all possible, do everything that you can do to keep yourself safe and to keep your back in good shape.